think Max covered everything there, but just to give you an overview on the structure of what we're going to do tonight. So I'll give you an overview of the business Pundit Arena, because I'm sure there's a lot of people here who don't know who we are or what we've done over the last 2.5 years. In addition to that, then I'll apply certain, I suppose, experiments that we ran for Pundit Arena, and I'll explain those from a content marketing side of things. The third thing we'll do is that we'll get Ruben here, the guy in the lovely pink shirt at the front, to speak to you about search engine optimization. We're a big believer in getting the experts to speak about the areas that they're most comfortable about and what they're knowledgeable about. So it's more fitting for Ruben to speak about that than myself. Then lastly, we'll finish with questions and answers. We find with all of these sessions, the more interactive they are, the better, and the more you can apply them to your own businesses. Because I'm sure, or I hope, everyone here is in sports media. But we'll start anyway with just an overview of Pundit Arena. So firstly, can you all hear me down the back? Can you hear me, yeah? Alright, so for those who do not know, I'm Richard Barrett. I'm the COO and co-founder of Pundit Arena. So Pundit Arena is a sports media website that empowers fans to become paid journalists. What we do essentially is we give people who are really passionate about sports, people who are really articulate, we give them the opportunity to earn for writing about sports. And in addition to that, we just give them a platform to write about the things they love. So that's essentially what Pundit Arena is. I'm 26 years of age, South Cork Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Last year, more importantly, I'm a sports junkie. So there's sports that I'm really, really passionate about. And luckily, Pundit Arena is the avenue for me to express my thoughts about those sports. So my journey is a bit different to the usual route. I was UCC graduated, did sports studies and PE, went into teaching for a while. Didn't last too long, not sure how mature I was for teaching at the time, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Then I went on to the Ignite Business Innovation Programme, and I'll speak about that in further detail. Then we set up Pundit Arena together, myself and Ross. We ended up in Silicon Valley, raised some investment, and we got to 1 million users. So it's just a roadmap, and that's what we're going to explain regarding Pundit Arena. So I started in UCC 2008, did sports studies and PE. Obviously was really, really passionate about sports. I thought if I become a PE teacher, I'd get 3 months off in the summer, do whatever I want and get paid for it. Obviously there's a lot more involved than that. So I lasted about 2 years as a PE teacher and an Irish teacher. December 2012, my life changed dramatically. I was playing a lot of sports at the time. I was very active, but then all of a sudden, a freak accident. I ended up breaking a few bones and ended up in a wheelchair. So I was in a wheelchair for a few months anyway, with, I suppose, a big, massive life change. For someone who was incredibly active, probably training 5-6 times a week, and also being a PE teacher, being in a wheelchair probably isn't really practical. So for me, that was a massive life change. Obviously, that's a time where you can get down, you can't do a whole lot, you're dependent on other people. So look, I had a lot of supports there. I had a lot of spare time, and I said, look, am I going to get down in the dumps here? Am I going to waste the next 5-6 months and just, put on weight, get depressed? Or am I going to actually do something real and, turn this into a positive? So what I did was I decided to teach myself how to build a website. There are millions and millions of tutorials online, and I suppose just things that will show you how to learn stuff that you thought wasn't possible. So there had been hundreds of thousands of people that wanted to build a website before me. They had encountered all of the problems that I was going to encounter, and luckily there was enough tutorials online to teach me how to build a website. So I created that, and I created sportiseverything.com, aggregator for top bloggers. I really loved it at the start, thought it had all the potential in the world. It was my baby. See, that wasn't true. But I got some early traction, and I applied for the Ignite Business Innovation Programme. So the Ignite Programme, for those who don't know, is an accelerator programme where you get 10 entrepreneurs that are graduates of universities throughout Ireland, or entrepreneurs at the time. You bring them in together for about 6 to 9 months, depending on the programme, and you see if you can build a business. It teaches you a lot because you can hone your skills. I mean, I'm weak in an abundance of areas, but they provide you with the supports to start to sharpen your tools. So luckily for me, I got onto that, and we came in the first day, and I sat down, there was a round table, and everybody to say what their business idea was. So on one side of the table was this guy, Ross O'Dwyer, who's sitting here, and on the other side of the table was myself. So we'd say what our businesses were, and Ross said his, and I said, Jesus Christ. So we're doing the exact same thing. And I think Ross felt the exact same as well. So the tension was probably palpable at that stage, but luckily we decided, this is a big opportunity for us. After about 2 weeks, save time, energy, money. Let's meet up on a Saturday morning. Let's join together and really give this the best shot we can. So we decided to launch Pundit Arena. Pundit Arena, this problem that it was solving was that there was a number of barriers into journalism for everyone that wanted to get into journalism essentially. There was a lot of people that were creating content that was quite simply shit content, and they were still getting paid. So for us, we said people are being paid based off their reputations and not being paid off their performance. That's not a sustainable model. So the people who are really, really working hard are the ones that deserve to be rewarded. Similar to entrepreneurship, you work as hard as you can and you can see those tangible rewards. You can start to make more and more progress. That's one thing that I struggled with teaching. I think I was putting in a lot of work, but you can't see the rewards in a quick period of time. You can't get those tangible things. Whereas in entrepreneurship, in journalism, what Pundit Arena delivers is a platform for people to write an article, put it out there, and get upwards of 20, 30,000 people reading that, critiquing it, abusing it from time to time, well, more often than not. But it's just that you can see the rewards, and you put in a good piece of content, then Pundit Arena provides that landscape whereby you can just see whether you're doing well or not. I think that was a big thing out there. In addition to that, it was tough to make money for people. People had to do internships. They could spend 6 to 8 months rotting away and not getting the proper opportunity to earn cash for their work. That was a massive problem. And lastly, the media landscape is changing every single day. Content creation was too expensive. Quite simply, the days of the Irish Times and these people having 10, 12 floors of journalists, they're gone. Print media is dying, and we'll be happy to be the ones to kill it. And that's our model, that's what we're going to do. Digital is the future. You wouldn't be here if you didn't agree with me. But essentially that was the problem that was out there, and that's what we were solving. So we created Pundit Arena, we launched it. There was little barriers of entry. We would provide you with a platform whereby you could get an audience, you could get the potential to earn money, and also you don't have to go buy a blog or a domain or all the rigmarole of trying to switch your DNS and all these technical things that some people who are pure journalists just wouldn't know. So we decided to take away all that pain and provide people with a solution whereby premium content would be rewarded. So the revenue model and the way we made money, because I know generating revenue is a tough thing for people online, was through the hit list, which is kind of our sweet spot, which is our USP, and also through brand partnerships and content syndication. So we crowdsource quality content. If you're a fan, you can provide content to us and we'll monetize it. So for example, if we sold, if the Evening Echo down in Cork wants somebody to be in Derry to report on the Cork City Football Club match, it's more cost effective for them to get one of our fans to write it who's based in Derry than it is for them to send someone up in the car, pay their expenses, pay for them to spend their night up in the Brandywell on Friday. So what we do is we crowdsource quality content and provide it in a cost-effective manner to media houses. That's an example of content syndication. So this is a massive piece for us because, not just because it was printed in the paper, but because the guy who had written this article had never written professionally before. His grandfather was previously a journalist, wanted someone in the family to get into journalism. And this guy thought he'd never ever be printed. In the Evening Echo, which is, for those who are not from Cork, is a massive thing. You get an Evening Echo, your mommy's proud of you, and that was the big thing for him. So we got that in there. That was our first one that we ever sold, and that just proved to us that content syndication is working. So now this is where we applied the technology to Pundit Arena. When we first started off, we didn't have the hit list. It was something that we developed. A business can take a lot of turns. We thought, let's give writers a percentage of the revenue generated when their ads are on, all these complex things. But then essentially we just decided to look at our audience and say, look, these guys are really, really competitive. Let's create something that rewards their performance, that really, really stokes the fire internally. They're really competitive. They want to get to the top of this league table. So we married those and we created the hit list. So the hit list is essentially a live league table that enables writers to earn money for their work. If you're a writer, you accumulate points from the start of the month till the end of the month, and then you can generate money based on your league table position at the end of the year. So for example, you look at Leicester City, they're going to earn more money from their position in the Premier League than we'll say Manchester United this year. So our writers, if you finish first, you get the most money. If you finish 15th, your money that you get paid reflects that. So we're really, really working on the competitive aspect of journalism. So it's custom coded, and I'll speak a bit about clickbait and different types of content in a while, but the way writers accumulate points is number one, off views, because eyeballs are important for us to generate revenue. But then more importantly, it's off social shares. So we've weighted it. So you get 10 times more points if somebody tweets about your article than you do for somebody just reading it. So what we're trying to do is motivate people to create the best content, rich content that's shareable, stuff that has the potential to go viral. And that's the way we pay our writers. At the start of the month, we'll say, this is how much is in the pot, this is the breakdown, now off you go, create good content. It's incredibly transparent, and we'll pay you based off that. So that's the hit list. We realised that it wasn't as simple as doing that. We needed to get a lot smarter. So it wasn't just saying that, we'll give these guys money and they'll be delighted, they'll start to write loads of articles for us, everyone will be happy, we'll sell the company for 200 million, we're delighted. No, it doesn't work like that. So we started asking our writers, what is it that you actually want? 3 things came back to them. Number 1, guys wanted to earn a lot of cash, which is obviously a big motivator for a lot of people. Number 2, they wanted to prove that they were better than everyone else. They wanted recognition. A lot of sports journalists have egos. That can be a positive thing because it comes out in great content. So the league table, the hit list, helps them to show that they're better than their peers. Then lastly, they wanted swag. They wanted free jerseys. They wanted tickets to games. Any gifts that were probably not that accessible previously. So we married all 3 of those when we created the hit list. We created a mailing list. We said, look, this is our mailing list. This is what you can win. This is what it started off in February. Number 1 person who has the best content gets €300, etc. Really, really bland, well, we didn't realise at the time, boring message. So we thought, these lads are going to love money. Let's just send them a message, tell them how much they learn, and then it'll be perfect. That didn't work out. So we did a course with Google on startup economics. So we ended up meeting this guy called Sion Bennett. So Sion is the world leader for gamification and reward systems. So he's the only guy, I think, who's won the Dean's Award for Excellence in Harvard 3 times or something. A real genius, and he offered his skills to us because he just really, really liked what we were doing. So for us, we needed to get a lot smarter because we started seeing that our writers were starting to write sporadically. There would be incredible interaction at the start, then after a month or so, or even after a couple of weeks, people would just disappear. And that was really, really big problem for us. Churn in any business is a tough problem to counteract or to deal with. So we needed to use his skills to counteract that and see how best we could retain writers and how we could educate them, motivate them to keep continuing to provide content for Pundit Arena. So what we did was we created, using all of his knowledge and about 1% of ours, we created another mailing list. So in simplistic terms, we randomly selected all of our writers. We have 320 writers at the moment. We created a control group, which is just your basic group that gets boring, plain messaging. This is how much you'll win. Thanks for writing for us. This is the article of the week. The next group was Treatment Group 1. So Treatment Group 1 were people that we were going to send a message based entirely off of fan base, off of audience, off of eyeballs. People told us they were motivated by eyeballs. They wanted more and more people. That's what really drove them. The amount of people reading my articles is feeding my ego. I love this, it's better than a drug. So what we do, give them messaging, select them randomly, but give them messaging that's based entirely around audience. So we'd say, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick at the Nou Camp on Saturday, but over the course of the week, more people turned up to read your articles than turned up to watch him. Or else we'd say, your piece of content was so good that 10 full Old Traffords turned up to read your article. So we tried to visualize everything. We don't talk about numbers, we talk about full stadiums, vibrant environments, whereby people can really, really visualize how many people are actually looking at their content. So that was the message we sent to those people. As you can see, we really stressed the amount of hits they're getting. Who's going to be the first to get 1 million hits in 1 year, or in one month? Sorry. Who's going to be the first to, break the record? So then we created Treatment Group 2, and Treatment Group 2 is one that was focused entirely on money and financial gain. So we picked out Floyd Mayweather. We got the image of him in a bag of cash. Just said, look, this is how much you're going to earn. It's all about cash money. Who's going to be the first to earn €1,000 in a month? And we just focused on the cash entirely. The language we were using was all, buy this amount of cash. I think Brian, who's sitting here, said, you could hire Clinton Morrison for a week on his current wage with the money you earn for Pundit Arena. So it was just applying it to our audience. So we started to work that over the course of a few months and analyse the submission increases from different writers. What was interesting, what we found was that those that had initially told us that they were motivated by money were starting to work a lot harder when we were providing them with a message about audience. So the key thing for us, and the key USP for Pundit Arena, because people say to us, what makes you different, what makes you special, what all you're doing is you're a sports media company. So for us, we've actually created a process, and we know more about our writers than they know about themselves. So there could be a writer here who's told us that he's really, he or she is motivated by financial gain. Yet we've got this data that shows us we've actually fed you with 10 Old Traffords, 20 Messis, etc. over the course of 2 months, and your submissions of it have shot through the roof. Conversely, we could say to someone, you know, I'm not motivated by cash at all, blah, blah, blah. But I know riders in particular who are the first to email me in the first of the month saying, when's the cash coming in? I can also see data that says, you know, since we started showing you pictures of Mayweather in bed with $10,000, you've started to work a lot harder. So that's our USP, knowing more about our riders than they know about themselves, and just providing the correct, I suppose, rewards to them to increase the quality of their content, and then the submission increases. So a really interesting thing that we did along that behavioural economics side of things was we started talking about reward systems. So if you go into, I don't know, we'll say, what's Herb Street over there, and they give you a loyalty card. So there's studies built around this whereby they give you a loyalty card and you need to get 10 stamps to win a prize. So straight away people are demotivated, they see it as a task, they say, Jesus Christ, I have to buy another 8 coffees before I get one measly free coffee. So then we spoke with Sion and he said, you know, there's actually studies that show if you give someone a loyalty card whereby they have to get 5 stamps or 10 stamps, but 5 are already stamped, then they feel like, oh, I have a great chance of getting this, it's a lot more attainable. So we said, are we going to apply this to our business model? How are we going to apply this to our community of riders to ensure that they start providing us content? So Sion, using his intellect again, said, no, but I've got another study for you that shows that randomization is the key. So if you're running a coffee shop, forget about loyalty cards. If there's anyone here that runs a coffee shop, throw them in the bin. Create scratch cards that say win or lose, and give someone a scratch card every single time they buy a coffee. So when you go up, there's a chance that you're going to win, so you're more likely to come back. And as you start to lose and lose and lose, in your head you're saying, Jesus, my odds are increasing and winning. So for us, we started to apply that to sports journalism. So anybody that submitted an article from the Monday up until the Sunday were thrown into this hat in the Pundit Arena office, or the HQ as you call it. All their names were gone in. It did not matter if you submitted 50 articles during the week. It didn't matter if you got 1 million uniques. You could have one article with 10 measly views, but because you had gone to the effort of submitting an article to us, there was a chance that you could win cash. So we put them into a hat, and then every single Monday, we put the names into a hat, pull one lucky person out, and say, Sarah Fitzpatrick has won X amount of cash. So that really helped to increase our submissions. So they're the types of things that we're working on at the moment with Pundit Arena, and that's why our users have started to grow. So that's our random rider of the week. That's the percentage of submissions that have increased for us over the past, that goes up to January. I'll have to update that. But it's just showing that the more you know about your audience, which is something I'll touch on there in a minute, then the more you can provide them with what they need, and the better your business model, in terms of media anyway, for what we're involved in. Right, so I'll go all the way back now and I'll apply the content marketing because I know that's why you're here. So back in November 2013, myself and Ross, we were ready to take on the world. We had all these meetings, we created this lovely branding, and we said, look, let's launch the site. But were people coming on board? No, they weren't. We had 368 users for November 2013. Think about working out, that's less than 1 cent of revenue you can generate from that number. So you say, Jesus Christ, we're fucked there. What are we going to do? We tried everything, we've worked incredibly long hours. What are we doing? So we fell into the trap where we were working really hard and we just weren't working correctly. So we went back to the drawing board and we came up with various reasons why we were missing the target. Those reasons, there were millions of them, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to focus on probably 6 or 7 of those and just speak about how we apply them to our business, so in the hope that you guys can apply it to your own business. So content marketing, that's the definition. I won't even bore you by reading it out because I think it's basically just a waste of time. For us, content marketing is simple. It's all about storytelling. Good content is not storytelling, right? For us, it is storytelling, and it's about telling it as well as you can. So our articles, every single one of those is a story, and our vision, our role at Pundit Arena is to teach you something you did not know once you leave one of our articles. If you go to the hassle of giving us a click on your article, we can guarantee you that you learned something you didn't know. And that's what our business model focuses around. That's what our value proposition is for our readers. So content marketing for us involves 3 things. It's about attracting your user base or your leads or your potential customers. It's about engaging with them, and then it's about converting them And I mean, Conor McGregor has done that. We've been over to the fights ourselves. It's insane what he's done. In terms of marketing, I think he's the best marketing guru there is in the world. And it's funny how you can apply MMA or something like that to any business, not just sports. So content marketing on Pundit Arena, how we applied it to our business, how we grew from 368 users to the quickest site in Irish history to go from 0 to 1 million and now to 1.6 million users. So these are the pillars, these are our CMCs, our cornerstones of content marketing. So I'm going to go through these individually, and then number 7 is search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is so important that, as I mentioned earlier, we brought Ruben here who's a specialist on it, so he's going to finish off with the search engine optimization. So minimum viable product, for those who do not know, before we started the business, an MVP for me was a basketball player who did well at the end of the year. It's fitting there's a picture of Kobe Bryant because he's retiring tonight, so he'll be flooding your Facebook streams. I thought it'd be fitting that if I had a chance to show Kobe Bryant, I might as well use it. But for me, a minimum viable product, or an MVP, was a basketball player when I started off. Then I started to learn through the Ignite program that a minimum viable product is the lowest pared down basic piece of shit of your product that you can get out to people and they'll tell you it's shit, and then you just start to mold it, to sculpt it into something much more beautiful. Ross and I decided to do that. We created a site. It was absolutely terrible, but it helped us to avoid analysis paralysis. And for those who don't know, analysis paralysis is an example of that. Is probably Ross and I the first month of our business. We sat in, we started writing all over the board. We started, saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but we never left the building. We were paralysed by, I suppose, our own weaknesses that we thought we had, but we didn't. So we just released our MVP. We learned so much more in the 2 days after we launched that than we did in the first 2 months of our existence. What we did was, as I said, the product was a piece of shit, but the content was shit hot, and that's important. So for us, what we were able to control, we weren't able to control how well the site looked at the start, but we were able to control how good the content was. Content is what we're good at. So we just basically got the best content, wrapped it up in the worst wrapping paper ever, but what was inside was great, and our readers appreciated that from day one. We edited absolutely everything. So anybody here who works in media, I think where people fall down from the start is that they don't edit their content from day one. I mean, there is nothing worse than typos on a site. There's probably typos on our site right now, but there's a lot less than there ever was, and we strive to remove every typo. So we started working smarter, not harder. That was our site when we started off. It looks terrible. It got worse, but then it started to get better, or we thought it did. I mean, we put 2 logos there, like it was just, it's bizarre to think that we thought that was so good. The important point is that you start off with something that's so bad, just continuously start to mold it. We were able to control in-house our content, so we ensured that remained high quality, whereas the site itself wasn't. So luckily that's where we're at now, brands on board, etc. So that was our minimum viable product, and we got it out there. What that helped us to understand deeper was who we were actually selling to. So when we started off, we probably thought, everyone's a sports fan, everyone will come and read content on Pundit Arena, but that's not true. We needed to know exactly who we were targeting, how we were going to target them, and how we were going to retain them. So for us, it was all about knowing your customers. And I keep saying our users are our readers, but you can apply that to any of their businesses. So for anybody here who is in a business, you've got to ask yourself, what do you know about your customers? Do you know their age? I mean, there are facts, that's our age. Do you know the gender of your users? That's ours, it's predominantly male. Do you know their location? As you can see in the heat map, it's the UK. The UK is our biggest market. These are all things that are so important that we did not know at the start. But once we got our MVP out, we were able to gather all of that data. Do you know what type of phone they have? The amount of information you can get about people that are on your site is actually quite frightening. I can tell you exactly what type of phone people are coming on, how long they're spending on the phone. Are they accessing it through Safari? Are they accessing it through Chrome? So for anybody in any business that's online, if you're not aware of all of this information, then you've got to worry, because there is no doubt that your competitors do. So for us, we really started focusing on the analytical side of things. I mean, I could say how many people are on an iPhone in Cork City that are aged between 25 to 34 and that are male, and we can get all that data within 10 seconds. And that's important for us because we can tailor our content to suit the people that really, really want to come on site. And the important thing to remember, as I said there, your competitors do. Google Analytics is without doubt the most important weapon we have in our office. We have our Google Analytics going constantly. Everyone on the team has access to Google Analytics. It's so important because the minute we launch our product out there, the minute that we put an article out there, we can see exactly how many people are driving to our site, how long they're spending online, what articles they're going to next. And the more we can learn about our readers, and the more we can couple that with what we know about our writers, then the better product we have, and the more we can continue to escalate our growth. So business is war, don't become a casualty. It's a bit strong, but that's exactly what online media has become. It's a war. We've seen bigger media houses than us fall down, spend loads of money and die. We're still small, so we're trying to be as agile as we can, use all of the tools we can, just to ensure that we can continue to keep fighting and start our land grab. So we're starting to take over the UK. We want to go bigger, we want to keep going. So Google Analytics, for anybody out there, it's a free tool, get it, you won't regret it. One really, really important thing to do as well is when you're trying to sell your product, you got to get into the mindset. You've got to, I suppose, personify, put some sort of human nature to your customers. Who are they? So what we did was we segregated our writers. We segregated them into two characteristics, both male, because our writers at the time were entirely male, Matt and Philip. So Matt is the type of guy who's in college. He's probably aged between 20 to 25. He's doing commerce, or he's doing a journalism degree, and just never really thought that he could get the opportunity to write and earn money for it. Then we provide him with a product. He sees that I'm motivated totally by money. These lads are going to actually give me an avenue to earn money for my work. The other thing then is Philip. So Philip, and we see this entirely, some of our writers might be here and you can see which category you fall into. Philip could be a guy working in London who's working in financials, absolutely hates his job, can't wait to get home to write a letter, or can't wait to get home to write an article about Liverpool or about Manchester United, about Conor McGregor. Philip is motivated, for the main part, by the amount of hits on his articles, the amount of people that read his articles. Philip is the type of guy who's way smarter than his friends, and when he's in the pub, you know, we all have those friends, he'll take your point on board, but you know he's not listening. But you can see which category you fall into. So we segregated our customers into that, our writers, sorry, so we could really get into their mind and see what they wanted. So for us, we built these personas, we got them up on the wall, and we said, how are we going to provide value, how are we going to feed their addictions? So for us, content is our game. Content is king, content conquers all. Content is what we do. Content is where we make most of our money. Advertising is changing. Everything is editorial content. Our commercial editor is sitting down there. We have someone dedicated in the office entirely to create content for brands. 12 months ago, that would have been totally alien to us. It was all about putting your brand at the top of his website, putting them in widgets and that. Those days are gone. We reject deals if we feel that our users aren't going to benefit from the content. We know that we'll get a short-term gain by getting, I don't know, X amount of cash, but long-term our users will say, this is an ad. I know there's a lot of Irish websites here that do that. I remember reading one article, it was like, check out the brand new cars that the Gardaí have gotten, they're fantastic, and you just go into it as blatantly an Opel ad. I mean, that kind of stuff is really, really short-term gain things, and your users are going to feel robbed. We don't do that. We only do deals with brands if we feel they can fit into what our users want. So for us, revenue is incredibly important, but the users are far more important. So we give them what they need. We fuel their addiction. So what we needed to do was we need to understand our content, what works for people, and that's gathering in all the analytics, gathering in the interactions, gathering in the social engagement, what works well, what doesn't work well. There's a reason that on every single one of our articles, our views are available to anyone. All of our competitors, it doesn't matter. When we publish an article, it's transparent how many views that article gets. That teaches our writers, our external writers, what works well and what doesn't. So they can better understand their product, they can improve their product, their content, and as a result, Pundit Arena as a whole can improve. So our focus was not on quality nor quantity, we needed to focus on both of them. So we needed shit hot content and we needed shitloads of it, and that's it exactly. If you can get really good content, you can get loads of it, then you have a business in media. So content conquers all. I mean, you won't believe the secret to providing good content. Those headlines are just, they're bizarre for us. For us to understand that clickbait does have a place in media, but those headlines, you won't believe, this is incredible. I mean, it's a short-term gain, long-term loss. So the secret to providing good content is just provide good content. That's it. Focus on the content, the users will come. That's what we've done, that's what worked for us. It took us a while to understand it because some of our articles are still kind of clickbaity, but we're moving into it. creating better content. So we brought in an editorial team, that's Ross there, and we've John Murphy, who's our editor, and he oversees all of our content. So what was important for us was to have someone dedicated there 24/7 that's accessible to direct what type of content we wanted, what our strategy was, what was working, what wasn't working. And that was key for us. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people to tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. That's one thing that's the cornerstone of our business in Pundit Arena. The lads will tell you there, they're sitting there. If I come into the office and I say, lads, I've got this great idea, let's do this. The lads are heavily engrossed in content. They'll say, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. We're not doing that. And that's important for us because there's no lines that the lads can't cross when it comes to putting out a better product. That's what's really helped us. Because if the lads have an idea, we just say, look, run with it. Didn't work? No, it didn't work. Who cares? Don't be afraid of failure because we learn a lot more. So we decided on what type of content we wanted Pundit Arena to, I suppose, personify, to use the word. When people thought of Pundit Arena content, what did we want them to think of? So we wanted them to think of passionate content, memorable content, thought-provoking content. We wanted to look for the alternative angles. From day one we said match reports, we have no time for match reports. These days you go on to live score, 10 seconds after a goal is scored, you have it, you go on to Vine, you see a goal. Go on to Twitter, you're flooded. Nobody's reading match reports. So for us, let's look at the alternative angles. Let's look at the backstory of Leicester City. Let's look at their tax dealings and how they circumvented financial fair play and all these underlying stories that aren't being covered by mainstream media. And I think that's helped us because if we were doing what everyone else was doing, we would have been smothered up a long time ago. Because it's idealistic for us to think that we can stop people going on to Sky Sports because they've formed those habits over 10 years. What we can do, thankfully, because of the way the digital media industry is these days, is that we can provide additional content. So whereas before people would migrate directly to BBC or Sky Sports, it's all encompassing now. Everybody uses a number of different sites, and that applies to both sports media, fashion, business. The main point is that quality content rules all. So nowadays it does not matter if you are the Huffington Post, it doesn't matter if you're the Tribune, it doesn't matter who you are. Quality content trumps all, and that was what the big thing was for us. So the main thing for us is clickbait is content cancer. Clickbait is what is killing the internet, what is killing quality content, what is killing journalists that are incredibly talented but aren't getting the eyeballs. It's because clickbait, people's attention spans are changing. So it's a short-term gain. You'll say, you won't believe who's just signed for Manchester United, blah, blah, blah. You get 10,000 clicks, but the article itself is terrible. So what we've done is we've kind of changed it. So if I click on here, time is our most valuable asset, and I'll show you there now. So what we do is we reward people for interacting with our content. If an article of ours came across as clickbaity, we can guarantee you that it will have a massive, massive amount of reward for clicking on it. We will not just show you a video on Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo. We will discuss Jose Aldo's career, where it goes now. We'll bring in the tweets, everything. So we try to provide so much value to the user that they're not pissed off when they click on a clickbaity headline. They actually get good quality content and they know they'll come back. And it doesn't matter about the headline, they'll still click on it. We're not trying to hoodwink our audience. I mean, all of us have been there where you click on an article and it says top 5 players linked with Manchester United. You click onto it, massive ad splashes across the screen. It's a slideshow, you got to click right, you're seeing Viagra, you click right again, you see a 6-pack, you see the next one, you're saying, Jesus Christ. You don't even get to see the third player, you got to get off it. For us, we'll never do that. Our advertising is not intrusive. We need to have advertising on the site to earn money, but if it affects the user's overall interaction or their experience on the site, we just won't do it. And that's important for us. So here's an example. Forget to focus on clicks. So what we started to do then was we realized that, clicks aren't everything. The media landscape is changing. It's people engaging with your content. We spent a lot of work over there at Bleacher Report, and they've got this mindset now where it doesn't matter how many people you get on your site. If your brand is omnipresent, if it becomes ubiquitous, if you're in the back of everyone's, or if you're at the front of everyone's mind, then that's where you provide value, and that's how you can bring value to advertisers. So we make decisions on content. Here's an example. Paul O'Connell forced to retire through injury. I know a lot of media outlets in Ireland and the UK, they ran with Irish rugby legend has to retire. And for us, we just weren't going to do that. We felt, and we weighed it up, that if we just told people who it was, they're more likely to engage with it. So that was 350 likes and X amount of shares. You can't see it there. So for us, we made that decision. There was no need for any clickbait, but it's important you've got to balance that. This was a more click-based piece. It was England hit with more injury news. So what we're doing is we're giving you an insight into who's been hit with injury news. We're also providing a quality piece once you click into it. So we'd speak about if it was, I don't know, any England players that were injured, then we provide information about those. I think that's important. If you can have that balance between half clickbait, but then also giving people the answer before they click, then you can really get a good medium with yourself and your users, and they're more likely to give up their time. They're more likely to give you their click because they won't feel as bad. And if you look at the example, that got 350 odd likes, but it only reached 26,000 people. This one only got 26 likes, but it reached more than double the amount of people. And you know, you've just got to weigh up what's more important. So if you have a good mix of that, then that's the best way, because it increases your engagement on social media. The more people that interact with your page, the more likely Facebook are to open the gates for you. And that's what's helped us getting verified. Distribution and the importance of headlines. So for us, distribution, we always use this story. If the Irish Times had the best content in the world, but only gave it out to everyone in this room, then half the room probably wouldn't even open it. The other half would take it home, probably wouldn't read it, and then the other half would just look at it for 2 seconds, and you know, it's just, you hit a ceiling straight away. Whereas for us, we need to realize that we need to get our content out to more people than just punditarena.com. We needed to get it out to as many people as we could. So we started building our social. We brought on a guy, Killian Healy, who created this GA page from scratch. He joined us and we built it with him, turned it into the biggest GA page in the world. So we started replicating that model. What we're doing is we partner with, if there's Arsenal fan sites, we partner with them, we let them write content on Pundit Arena, they become part of the Pundit Arena publisher program, and then they stick it out through their social media channels. So an example is Arsenal TSN, biggest fan page in Arsenal in the world, one of, anyway. They write on our site, share the link, and we can provide them with an avenue to earn cash. So they can monetize their users, and that's what's been good for us, so that's how we increase their distribution. Social direct SEO are things that Ruben will talk about, but I'll skip over those. Those are important for us, and we were really weak at them, but luckily we saw our weakness as an opportunity to grow, and I think that's important for us in business. If we were really killing it on all levels, and we still only had 1.6 million users, then I think we'd be very worried. So the more weaknesses we can find, the more chinks in our armor, the more opportunity we have to grow. So if anybody sees that we're doing something incredibly bad, just come tell us. We're always open for criticism, and I think that's what's helped us to grow. News aggregators. So for anybody that is unaware, to increase your content online, there's these things called news aggregators. So the news aggregators that we've got license for are Google. So Google will provide a news aggregator license to a content company if they believe they're providing good content. So for us, that's great. We'll turn up first in Google if you're searching for Johnny Sexton, or if you're searching for Henry Shefflin. There's times when we come up first. So we're working on increasing that, and that helps us get users. News Now is another one. It's an RSS feed, feeds all our content into the site, and we can drive 2,000 Arsenal fans to an Arsenal article straight away. So for anybody who's trying to build an audience, these are areas that you should look at. Referrals are great too. Referral traffic is growing for us. If you know somebody in a similar space to yourselves, whose users you think would also like your content, and remember, nobody sticks on the one site, then it's important to build partnerships. We've just built a partnership with Bleacher Report this week, and for us that's great because we can provide content to them and they can provide users to us. It's important to build partnerships, and that's how you really grow the business. This whole thing about fighting away and becoming competitors is not great. Yeah.
If we could take maybe a short break, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then resume.
I'm nearly finished there now. I'll just go through the last thing, headlines, and then we'll do that.
No,
so headlines for us are essential. Headlines are what get people onto your site. Simple as, here's an example of one we did in 2013. All Ireland Hurling Championship 2013 preview. It's the most boring headline. It just basically says what it is. Literally, that was just laziness. It got 340 views. So that wasn't sustainable for us. We said, look, we've got to put more work. We've got to flip this into an alternative angle. So this year we created Hurling Power Rankings. So it's still a preview of what's going to happen in the All-Ireland, but it's just a different take on it. It's more engaging. People will interact with it. People will give out about it more. And as you can see, that had 10 or 11 times more traffic. Conor McGregor as well. This was an old one for us. Clean sweep for Conor McGregor and co. 550 views. That's another boring headline. So what we did was we created the worldwide reaction to Conor McGregor's one-punch knockout at UFC 194. As you can see, that's got 21,000 views. So headlines are incredibly important. What we do with headlines is, if we have a piece of content and we believe that It's going to go to males, 25 to 34-year-olds. It's going to do well. Let's create a headline. Let's create numerous headlines. So headline A, headline B. So we'll get headline A and we'll only feed it out to people who are male and aged from 25 to 34 in Cork. We'll get headline B and we'll feed it out to only people in Limerick who are male, aged from 25 and 34. And we'll know straight away which headline is working better. So what we do then is we scrap the original headline if it's underperforming, and we put everything into pushing out that headline B, and then we project it out to our entire audience. So it's all about seeing what works and what doesn't. So I'll just give you another example. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. When you're doing something really, really good, your headlines and that, people will copy it. So this is one we did, a Jose Aldo video. Conor McGregor was due to fight Jose Aldo at UFC 194. Everybody was saying, oh, Conor McGregor this, Conor McGregor that. We flipped it on its head. We showed why Conor McGregor has everything to fear. We looked for that alternative angle. That's got 245,000 views, 13,000 likes. As you can see, it's the exact same headline. Insane Jose Aldo video shows exactly what Conor McGregor has to fear. Insane Jose Aldo video. Insane Jose Aldo video. Insane. This video shows, it says insane down the end. Insane Jose Aldo. So we must be doing something right. When we see people copying us, we don't get too pissed off, because we believe we have the better tools to overtake them in the long term. So it's great for us to know that we're doing something well. And that's just the importance of headlines. And strategic partnerships, I spoke about that already. Partner with Bleacher Report, partner with RT, partner with News Talk. And you can use the power of their brand to help elevate yourself. So I think Max wants to take a quick break. We only have a small bit more to go through, so what we'll do is go through knowledge sharing, go through the next part, just the SEO, and then more importantly we'll do the question and answers. So hopefully a lot of questions for us, and we'll be as blunt as we can, be as honest as we can. So I think that's where you get the most benefit. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Just have one or two other things to cover before I bring Ruben up. So as you mentioned there, and as Max mentioned, Ruben is our SEO specialist. So I'll just finish off how we use content marketing and just some of the things that we've done to grow our user base. So one of them, just carrying on from speaking about our team and educating our writers, is knowledge sharing. So knowledge sharing for us is about using the stuff that we learn in the office every day and then sharing those with our external writers. So we have 320 plus writers, but those guys and girls are not working for Pundit Arena 9 to 5 or 24 hours a day like our team are. So whenever we learn something new, we try to educate our writers, we try to motivate them to, I suppose, decrease the chances of churn. So that's stuff that we spoke about previously. So education is the most powerful tool you can use to change the world. For us, education is the most powerful tool we can use to change our world. And how we're doing that is by creating a writer program. So what we've done is it's a writer center essentially. We see the pundits on Pundit Arena make the same mistakes over and over again. So what we do is we create tutorials, or we speak to them about, you know, this is how you do a headline. You're clearly not proofreading your articles. Go back for 60 seconds, read your article, and then you'll have a better chance of getting published. Additionally, have a look in our hopper or feed to see if someone else has written the same article as you. All these things, all these simple things that can help to alleviate the stress on our editorial team. So the less editing that our team has to do, the more content we can put out, and the quicker we can get your content up there. So we reject about 45% of our writers. So if we see the same writer making the same mistake every single day, then we just say, look, thanks very much, but no thanks. If you're not putting in the effort we want. And that's been a big learning curve for us. People should be proud to write for Pundit Arena. That's how we feel, because we're putting our heart and soul into it. So we want people to also put in as much effort, not as much effort as we're doing, but just give that little bit of effort so that we do not have to spend time putting spaces in or capitalizing in certain areas. So the more we educate our writers, then that means the more we acquire, the more we can retain, and the more we can motivate to start providing great content. So what we did then is we started to build our team. It started off with Ross and I, and straight away we knew we were strapped, cash strapped, emotionally, physically wrecked. We just need to get more bodies. We need to bring in people that were a lot stronger at our weaknesses. So we decided to build a team with Galactos. As you can see, it's a sporting reference always. So we tried to get that sporting reference across, because everyone in our office is incredibly passionate about sports. The Galacticos weren't too successful, but hopefully we'll be a bit better, but it's a good term anyway. So what we needed to do was sell the vision. When we started off, we had people pulling in every single direction. So Ross and I had this vision in our heads of what we were going to do, but if you asked anyone else in the office, they probably would have told you something different. So we had one meeting, I remember, where we all went into this boardroom, this dark, dusty boardroom in our old office, which we thought was the best office ever at the time. And we just went in there and we let it all out. We killed each other for the whole team for about 2-3 hours, just giving out, pulling, shoving, etc. But it was necessary for us to get to where we are now. When we left that boardroom, we ensured that we were all on the same path, that we all had the same goals. We went from a company that was probably looking at our teammates and our peers and saying, how much work is he putting in? He's only coming in at 9:10, or she's leaving at 5:30, you know, these kind of things. And started saying, if every single one of us is doing something every single day to get to a point that we all agree on, which is our vision to get to 4 million users, then if you're pulling your weight, it does not matter if you're in at 9 o'clock. It does not matter if you leave at 5:30. It's all about your impact. And that's something we've learned from our advisors or investors. It's all about impact. So that was important for us. Once we saw that vision, once we gave people autonomy to do what they wanted, they started working a lot smarter, and additionally they kept working harder. So as I said previously, we thought we had to work smarter, not harder. We needed to work smarter and harder, and that's what we learned. So we sold everyone the same vision. Everyone in the office, if you ask them, what are your goals for the end of the year? Our goals are we will hit 4 million uniques by the end of the year, monthly. So everything everyone does in the office is geared towards that. So we started with 2, we grew, then we grew again. That was our first ever team member. I'm glad to say that he's still with us. It was on our first birthday. So after a year, that was the 3 of us in our old office. That's actually a Tesco bottle of champagne, looks a bit better. Still in the office, that's how bad it was, no one would drink it. But it was just symbolic of where we had come. So this guy that's there, Rob Lyons, he's still with us. He was not getting paid for the first 3 or 4 months that he was with us. We sold the vision to him, said, look, believe in us. We are doing something right, we all believe in it. We'll give you the power to grow yourself, to have self-improvement every single day. You can be accountable for certain things, you can make a difference. When the money comes, we'll pay you. And thankfully, the money did come and Rob signed a full-time contract. So the majority of our staff, Brian's sitting there. Brian worked with us for free until we were able to gather the money to hire him, and it's paid off. Brian is our commercial editor now, and I hope he loves his job. So then we grew again. We thought getting the likes of Jimmy McGee and Sean Kelly, the president of the GA and all that, to be brilliant. We got a bit of a boost, but it kind of tailed off. But then we just started departmentalizing. So for us, it's all about writing about what you're passionate about and our content. So the boxing readers on our site don't care about football. The boxing writers that are in our office don't care about writing about football. Our big thing was write about what you're passionate about. So it was a bit rich of us to bring in a boxing writer and say, will you write about Cristiano Ronaldo? So what we did is we departmentalized or split up, segregated our office. It's entirely inclusive and there's still collaboration between everyone. But we've got the boxing and MMA team sitting here, we've got the GA team here, the rugby team here, the writer relations team over here. So they're working together, we're just thinking like a bigger company. So they're accountable for what goes on in boxing and MMA. They're accountable for the results and they've got the autonomy to dictate what we do in boxing and MMA. If they can get us to our goal of 4 million users, they can do whatever they want to get us there. And that's important, that's what's helped us to grow. That's our GA team on our writer relations. That's our team that grew. At the moment, as you can see, it's incredibly male. We're actually hiring women at the moment. It's been important for us. The reason that we haven't been able to hire women is because there's been such a low amount of applicants coming to work with us for women. So we want women to come work for us. We're interviewing someone on Thursday that we hope could be the right fit. That's a woman. So anybody out there that wants to get involved with us, we're doubling our team. We're hiring 10 people, and we'd love for at least 4 or 5 of them to be female. So just send your CVs to richard@punditarena.com or contact@punditarena.com, because we know that there's an unbelievable amount of talent out there, but it just hasn't been coming in our door. So please just send us in your CV. So we won a few awards, which is great for the ego, but also great in terms of PR. So we never enter awards anymore, but when we started off, it was about getting the brand out there, about marketing ourselves. So we entered loads of awards. I believe the term coined by someone was award whores. That's what we were. We were whoring ourselves about into every single awards there was. We turn up to the opening of an envelope. We were there gladly to get Pundit Arena out there. We turn up in Pundit Arena jerseys, everything. But it served a purpose at that point in time. It helped people to know. It helped us to grow our network, and it helped us to build relationships and just spread the word of Pundit Arena. So all these things feed into your content and your marketing of your brand. We went to Israel, represented Ireland. and that was great for us. It helped us to experience their ecosystem. And I think I spoke about with regards people who have just joined the company being able to talk to us and say that you're doing a terrible job or that's a terrible idea. That's impacted us through our experience of the Israeli ecosystem. So it's one that I'd really, really advise you to study. There's a book called Startup Nation, and it'll change your whole business. And that's where we are. So our user growth, we've put everything into it, and we went from 368 users in our first month to 1.6 million unique users for last month. Our goal is to get to 2 million by the end of June, and we've just raised some investment. We're doubling our team, and we want to get to 4 million by 2017. So what I'm going to do now is I'll pass the mic over to Ruben, who's going to give you a quick discussion about search engine optimization. He's the expert, so let him do it. And then after that, we'll have a question and answer session. Some of our team members are here, so hopefully they'll sit up here. You can ask us literally anything. We'll turn off the cameras and we'll just give you the bluntest, most honest answer we can, because that's his benefit. So, Ruben, cheers.